A scale exists to measure the darkest corners of human behavior. Forensics now reveals those among us who are most evil. Dr. Michael Stone interviews delusional killer Diana Dial. In an attempt to find the root of her delusional thinking, Dr. Stone addresses her mental health history, beginning with a hospitalization in 1983.
So why do you think they took you to the hospital?
Well, what happened was Cheryl Thompson had telephoned the psychiatric hospital and told them that I was chasing people all over the streets with a knife. And so they took me to the mental hospital, and she said the administration is concerned about her and wants her locked up. Well, her dad is the Senate Majority Leader, or was at the time. She had locked me up about 4 times for things I didn't do, and we had people coming into the house like Charles Manson and his family. We had people coming into the house at night and leaving doors open and doing things they weren't supposed to. That's when we got divorced.
What led to the divorce, do you think?
We were together for 20 years, but somebody kept attacking us and our family. You have a lot of people attacking you and your children and all kinds of problems, and there's nothing you have done, nothing your children have done, nothing your husband has done. Somewhere inside told me that it was important for me to find out what was wrong. So we got a divorce, and I worked with the FBI and law enforcement to try to find out who was attacking our family.
Dial's delusion leads her to the conclusion that Cheryl Thompson is responsible for the perceived attacks on her family. It sounds like you were being singled out.
Bingo, that's exactly right. Her dad says she's jealous of me. I don't know whether she's jealous because I won the casino, or jealous because I have a sports record, or jealous because I married my husband and he's very successful and responsible. I have no idea why this woman is jealous.
Your life seems to be just filled with coincidences.
No, I have never had anything bad happen to me that can't be directly related to Cheryl and her publishing friends. She has 2 books out that she has authored that libel my family. One is called That's Poison, and the other one is called What a Load of Trash. To me, that's intent. That shows intent. She's friends with all kinds of publishers, and those are the people that I've had all these problems with, is these publishers.
Is that relevant to your own case?
Yes, it is relevant, because
in what way?
You can't,
I mean,
when everywhere I go, I am being controlled and things are being said about me that are not true, and it's all connected with these press families on the East Coast. Evidently, maybe they feel threatened by me, but it can't be a coincidence that everywhere I go is like that.
The breadth of Miss Dial's beliefs is impressive. Her vast, colorful scheme of delusional thinking has created a singular topic into which everything flows. Once speaking on this topic, she cannot be derailed. If Cheryl were somehow removed from your life, would your life have taken a different course?
It would have been a whole lot better. Cheryl...
100% better, or just a whole lot?
Well, I think that you have a group of publishers that are not particularly loyal to the United States, and these people are connected to the Communist Party. They're connected to the Nazi Party.
Well, these people seem to be, in your mind, I guess, working on a kind of underground level.
I understand what you're saying. You're saying that you don't hear about them, so therefore they don't exist.
I'm not saying therefore they don't exist. I'm saying, could it be that they have less influence than you think?
Well, if you own the New York Times and the Washington Post, that's quite a bit of influence. And if the public is not hearing about this and you own a company like that, that information is being censored, okay?
From what you've been telling me, there's a lot of dots that you've been able to connect, but other people have not.
Nobody's trying to connect them.
I found the experience of interacting with Miss Dial to be both fascinating and frustrating. She was very comfortable in her answers and not the least bit troubled or ruffled in any way by my questions. It doesn't seem to bother her in the least that her views are widely unpopular. I began to think of her as a tennis pro. No matter what I served to her, she could hit it back to you, backhand, forehand, or topspin without the least bit of trouble. And it always landed in your court, never in hers.
What's the most important thing you learn about cooking?
Always being organized.
Start with the basics. Don't add
That's
too
a
many.
great answer.
Yeah.
Most people master the basics of cooking first, before attempting to do full meals. But what if you've skipped a lesson or two? It's time for this young cook to get a refresher course.
Make sure I'm doing this right.
Sabrina lives at home with her dad. Since her mom passed away, she's been handling all the family meals.
I really have a passion for cooking, but it's just not necessarily one of my natural gifts at all.
But Sabrina doesn't use cookbooks.
I like to look at them for ideas, but when I cook, I kind of don't want to feel like I have rules.
And her experiments in the kitchen don't always work out.
Well, after my mom died, I tried to cook for my dad, and as I cooked for him more and more, he just became more and more scared of the things that I created.
I'm grateful that Sabrina tries to cook for me, but I just wish very much that she would learn to cook a little better. So I think we better call out for a pizza, okay?
All right.
So I'm gonna help Sabrina learn to make a meal her dad will really enjoy. So what kind of things do you have in your pantry?
I really don't have anything in my pantry anymore ever since I gave up cooking.
You just gave up on cooking
I
altogether?
tried a lot, and I wasted a lot of ingredients.
Okay. So we need to start building a little bit of your pantry back, right? You gotta come on over here and make some salmon.
Okay.
We took the inside bone out of our salmon. You're gonna take a little bit of the stuffing right in the center. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna take a piece of kitchen twine and you're actually gonna tie it real tight like that.
Is that a good amount?
That looks great. I thought you didn't know how to do this.
You just showed me.
Oh, okay. Wait till Dad sees this.
I was excited about the quinoa because he was just telling me how it's so good for you. You know, it just sounded like something great to put in your food. And I was excited that that was going to be part of the stuffing mix.
Well, you're looking like a pro here, Sabrina. Excellent.
Thanks.
So the salmon's cooking.
Just kind of learning today, it makes me feel a little bit bolder about kind of going out and following a recipe. I just kind of feel like my passion has just been given some kind of direction now.
You know, it's one of those things that food really brings people and family together. In this case now, Sabrina has the know-how to go home with confidence and make her dad a great meal.
Yeah, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you, baby.
Look at that, he's smiling.
Yes, I am. This is delicious. It's really delicious.
Forensics now reveals those among us who are most evil.
The first time I met him was at the Oregon State Prison.
Detective Bruce describes meeting convicted murderer Keith Jesperson.
We go into this large interview room in this very old prison, and they brought Mr. Jesperson in. People describe me as a big guy, but he was bigger than me. Huge hands, bear-like hands, I mean just huge paws. Very personable, very cooperative. He had no hesitation in talking at all. Nice guy. I mean, quite honestly, very nice guy. Would not trust him as far as I could throw him, which isn't very far.
Bruce wants to better understand this man who may have killed his Jane Doe.
I would not want to be a woman who angered him. That seemed to be his trigger. He said he picked up a lot of women. Everything was normal. He was, I guess, fond of picking up prostitutes at truck stops and did it quite frequently. Described several times having perfectly normal relationships with other people, long-term relationships. If you're able to make it past the first 15 minutes with the guy, you're probably safe, or not. One of his victims was a longtime friend of his who he, as he described, she says, you know what, my life is pretty much over, I just want to die, and he laughs about it. And he goes, really? And she says, yeah, you know, I wish I was just dead. Well, I can make that happen. Oh, really? Okay. And he kills her. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. He told a couple of stories that just really probably couldn't have happened the way he described them.
But it is Detective Bruce's assessment that this man is telling the truth about killing his Jane Doe.
And in this particular case, he described being on the road for a long time. The weather was foul and it made him more irritable. When he went to the rest area on I-5 with the victim, the only way I can describe it is that Mr. Jesperson would, in his mind, write a script for how this relationship was going to go. And I asked him, I said, so if a prostitute was loving and caring, would that anger you? And he goes, no. And that's what I wanted. He wanted to believe that for the time that they were with him, that they cared about him, that they loved him, that when they made love to him, they were enjoying it. It wasn't an act for money. It was an act because they cared about him. And I'm just guessing, but the combination between his being extremely tired, her being, in his words, rough in how she pursued sex, it was business, it wasn't intimate, and rewriting the script, if you will, that was the trigger for him. I noticed that when he talked about his other murders in the interview, there was also that same component of disappointment. They did not live up to his expectation. And if they failed to fulfill that role, that was possibly the trigger. I don't know. I'll never know, maybe never know, unless he tells us. And that would be his sole prerogative to do that. I would like him to, but I don't know if he ever will.
Detective Bruce needs Jesperson's help in identifying this Jane Doe. During their interview, he has Jesperson look at police sketches.
When I took this sketch, he goes, yeah, other than the hair, yeah, that's her. And those are almost his exact words. This is the one I think probably most accurately describes her at the time of the murder. Every time I look at the eyes on that photograph, I see pain. If you look at the gaunt cheeks, the pallor of a long-term alcoholic or drug user, that's a homeless person. That's somebody who's been out in the rain.
The sketches are Bruce's only hope of bringing closure to the case.
The plan is to take these, create a poster, and then what I will do is I'll go on a road trip, and I'm going to post it in every county jail from basically the Oregon border down to Sacramento, maybe a little bit beyond, every truck stop, every low-income housing complex or trailer area that I can find. Somebody out there knows her, and I'm hoping that that's where my lead is going to come from, somebody who knew her, and if nothing else, just give me the next step in this journey of identifying her.
All I know is I wouldn't want to be dumped here. She's nothing more than a piece of trash to him at that point. She's lost her value to him in any way, shape, or form. So hopefully we'll be able to identify her and bring some sense of closure to her family if she has any. And me as well.